Chosen one. Stop right here. Stop scrolling for just a moment. This is not another random video drifting across your feed like forgotten spiritual noise. This is a divine interception, a holy interruption meant to crash right into your spirit at this exact second. You didn't find this by coincidence. This found you on purpose. Heaven has been orchestrating this collision long before your heart even knew how to spell surrender. You may think you've heard every sermon, every prophecy, every motivational line under the sun, but this is something different. This is the divine emergency broadcast your soul has been humming toward in the dark. Even when your mind didn't understand the melody, something is about to shift in your life, not in the distant future, not in some vague one day, but right now. Your atmosphere is trembling because heaven is leaning so close you can feel its breath on your skin. This isn't just a video, it's a divine alert. A trumpet blast coded in spirit. If you feel this in your bones, comment the number 777 right now, 777. The prophetic code for completion, divine alignment, and spiritual perfection. And if a word or phrase grips you so deeply that you can't keep it to yourself, drop it in the comments. Let others see that what is happening is real, that heaven is truly speaking here and now. Before we dive into this revelation, I want to take a sacred moment to say thank you. Thank you to every single one of you who has supported this channel through Super Thanks. Your seeds, your generosity, your willingness to sow into this mission are felt in ways words can't capture. Whether you choose to give or simply choose to be present here, I want you to know I see you, I honor you, and I am endlessly grateful for you. You are not just supporters, you are partners in the unfolding of this divine narrative. Now, chosen one, close your eyes. Yes, even if only for a few seconds, let your breath slow. Let your shoulders drop. Let your soul lean forward as if it has been waiting its whole existence for this sentence. You did not simply end up here. You were summoned by an ancient sound only your spirit could hear. You didn't just click this video. Your soul responded to an invitation it recognized before you were even born. Because tonight, God has a sentence. He has never spoken like this before. Not to the prophets who saw mountains move, not to the priests who carried sacred fire, not to the elders who danced under open heavens. This time, it had to be spoken in a language that your wounds could interpret, in a rhythm your storms could finally understand, in a vibration that would echo through the hollow places and call your sleeping power to rise. Are you ready? Because what's coming next isn't just a word, it's a living pulse, a divine download, a spiritual ignition. You are about to hear a sentence that will transform you from the inside out. So take another breath. Chosen one, heaven has waited an eternity to say this to you, and tonight, everything changes. God's chosen ones, this is the first time God said this meant only for you. The silence you've been walking through wasn't just a hollow void meant to torment you, it was a sacred womb, a hidden place where divine codes were loading piece by piece into your spirit. Think about it. Have you ever felt that tightness in your chest that seemed to appear out of nowhere? That sudden shiver running up your spine in the middle of the night? Those moments weren't random. They were signs that something ancient and powerful was preparing to emerge through you. You see, chosen one, this exact moment right here is not just another day on the calendar, it's the final download of everything you've been carrying in secret. You've felt haunted lately, like a fragile dam about to burst. You've had dreams that seemed like scattered puzzle pieces, leaving you crying into your pillow, with no logical explanation. You've jolted awake at 3:33. 4:44 5:55 feeling an unearthly whisper sweep through your room, as if someone was speaking to you in a language older than the stars. Do you really think this was all coincidence? Or could it be that heaven has been steadily tapping on your soul's door, waiting for you to open it? The reason your pain spiked this week, the reason your heart felt like a violin string strung too tight and ready to snap, is because God completed writing something specifically for you. He didn't rush it. He waited for your tears to water the soil of your spirit, for your trembling hands to finally be ready to hold something sacred. Have you ever wondered why you felt an ache so deep that no doctor, no friend, no distraction could soothe it? It's because what was being written wasn't just for your mind, it was for your bones, your breath, your blood. And now, in this sacred instant, you are finally able to hear the sentence that has never been said to another soul before. I have stored myself inside of you. Let that sink in. Can you feel the echo rippling through every cell? Pause and let your soul chant it before your mind tries to dissect it. I have stored myself inside of you. You've spent so many nights believing that God was somewhere far, hiding behind the stars, hidden in the thunder, locked away in some distant realm. You prayed for an external sign. You begged for a breakthrough that would come crashing through your walls like a tidal wave. But what if the whole time, the sign was not meant to arrive from the sky but to rise from your own marrow? God never intended to place the answer in your environment. He embedded it within your very essence. Do you not know that you are God's temple and that God's Spirit dwells in you? 1 Corinthians 3:16. You are not an empty vessel waiting to be filled. You are already overflowing with encoded divinity. This is why your body has been trembling, like an instrument tuning itself to a cosmic frequency. Why your chest has been vibrating like a thunder drum, waiting for the first strike. Why your mind felt foggy, yet your spirit roared louder than ever. He is not simply coming to meet you at the altar. He is bursting through you as the living altar itself. Your healing is not something arriving in a package. It is an ancient memory, awakening from within your cellular blueprint. Your purpose isn't some distant destiny rolling toward you in the horizon. It's a primordial remembering, a sacred code unraveling itself through every shaky inhale, every quivering heartbeat. Look at people like Nelson Mandela. He spent decades in a prison cell, yet his vision for freedom was not external. It lived and pulsed within him until the world had no choice but to witness it. Or think of Malala Yousafzai, who carried the voice of 1 million silenced girls inside her spirit long before she could speak it out loud. What about Martin Luther King Jr.? His dream didn't fall out of the sky. It was stored within his soul until it overflowed into speeches that shook the world. And even Oprah Winfrey, whose deep knowing of her worth did not come from applause, but from an internal source planted long before the cameras started rolling. Could it be that your shaking is the same sacred preparation? Could it be that the world is about to hear what's been hidden in you all along? For we are His workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works, which God prepared beforehand, that we should walk in them. Ephesians 2:10. You see, chosen one, you're not merely here to survive, to scrape by, to hide in corners. You are the hidden manuscript God kept under lock and key. And today, He is whispering the final sentence into your marrow. I have stored myself inside of you, but he who is joined to the Lord becomes one spirit with Him. 1 Corinthians 6:17. Isn't it stunning that the answer isn't coming down, it's coming out? Isn't it breathtaking to realize your trembling is actually a sacred unveiling? Take a deep breath and let the revelation drip into your spirit like honey. I have stored myself inside of you. You are the vessel, the scroll, the prophecy, the sound, the echo. You did not choose me, but I chose you and appointed you so that you might go and bear fruit, fruit that will last. John 15:6. Let these words sit in your bones tonight. Let them stir your cells awake, because the world isn't waiting for another motivational quote or another shallow solution. It's waiting for you, the hidden you, the encoded you, the God-filled you. And when you finally stand fully revealed, they will know that God didn't just visit you. He erupted through you, chosen one. This moment is not just an echo from heaven. It is a sacred unveiling meant exclusively for you. God has stored himself inside of you. And he is announcing it now for the very first time, because you finally became still enough to catch it, finally shattered enough to absorb it, finally purified enough to release it into the world. Imagine it. The sentence has been spoken in the hidden chambers of your spirit. And now that sentence is no longer just a phrase. It will walk, breathe, and manifest through you. Have you ever wondered why the entire universe seems to hold its breath when God says something new? Because the instant his word is released, creation itself must rearrange every particle, every timeline, every dimension to match his sound. So shall my word be that goes out from my mouth. It shall not return to me empty, but it shall accomplish that which I purpose. Isaiah 55:11. He has never phrased it like this before, because you had to become the echo first, the living resonance of heaven's unheard frequencies. You weren't merely born, you were deployed like a sacred agent, while others celebrated your birthday with cakes and balloons. Heaven called it your landing, your divine insertion into enemy territory to break systems and rewrite stories. Have you ever stopped to ask yourself why you've always felt that soft ache of alienation, even in a crowded room? That subtle sting when people rejoiced over things that felt empty to you. That deep, inexplicable urge to look toward the sky when everyone else was buried in trivial pursuits. You were never weird. You were vibrating at a frequency that this world can't fabricate. A code so rare that even your DNA trembles under its weight. Look at someone like Nikola Tesla, ridiculed and misunderstood because his mind received frequencies others couldn't hear. Or Joan of Arc, a teenage girl hearing divine instructions that armies tried to dismiss as madness. Yet she changed the course of nations. Think of Harriet Tubman, whose visions and inner urgings guided her to free hundreds, moving through the darkness with supernatural precision. Even Albert Einstein felt like an outsider, lost in thought, while the world focused on survival, because he was decoding cosmic rhythms most couldn't comprehend. Could it be that your weirdness is not a flaw but the fingerprint of your assignment? You were never created to blend in. You were crafted to crack timelines open like a holy earthquake. That is why your childhood memories feel like disconnected puzzle pieces. Why your spirit always seemed older than your years. It's because you were not sent here to align with this era. You were dispatched to rewire it from the inside out. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. And before you were born, I consecrated you. Jeremiah 1:5. You weren't simply born into a family tree. You were inserted into bloodlines as a divine saboteur, a holy agent sent to interrupt curses that had gone unchallenged for centuries. You are the curse breaker, the chain snatcher, the system disruptor. Heaven didn't just train you. Heaven embedded its intelligence deep into your marrow so you could be the sacred mole that no generational pattern saw coming. Have you noticed that your eyes have always been wide, searching beyond what they could physically see? that your spirit has felt like an ancient scroll rather than a young page, that your hunger for meaning was already roaring before you even knew how to spell your name, and still, the world confused your depth for danger, tried to drown your voice under mediocrity, diagnose your divine uniqueness as dysfunction. But how can they label what they don't even have language for? How can they confine a soul that wasn't manufactured by earthly frequencies, but sculpted by divine breath? Why do you think you could never settle into a normal life? Why did the thought of a small, safe existence feel like slow spiritual suffocation to you? For God gave us a spirit not of fear, but of power and love and self-control. 2 Timothy 1:7. You weren't assigned a life of ease. You were entrusted with a life of impact. And real impact does not feel like comfort. It feels like an earthquake in your bones, like an unquenchable fire roaring under your ribs, like a secret garden blooming underneath your scars. Impact feels like trembling in the dark, like holding your breath while heaven sharpens your sword in silence, like growing roots so deep in hidden soil that when you finally rise, the floor of every system that tried to cage you will split open. Your existence was never about fitting into the rhythms of this generation. You were not coded to just survive trends or echo shallow affirmations. You were seeded to reform, to transmute, to ignite. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord has risen upon you. Isaiah 61. Every tear you shed, every night you couldn't sleep, every moment you felt exiled from the crowd, these were not signs of your failure, but proof of your divine distinction. And now, you stand on the edge of a new revelation. You were not simply called to witness miracles, but to embody them, to become the living pulse of God's new sentence on earth. So, chosen one, are you ready to walk as the echo that becomes the original sound? Are you ready to move not as a seeker of light, but as the carrier of it? Because the sentence is no longer just spoken, it is alive. And it is you, chosen one. You are not a simple creation of hours and calendars. You are not merely a product of history or human timelines. You are a collision point, the sacred meeting between eternity and earth. Do you realize that? You weren't dropped here like a lost object. You were launched with precise, unstoppable force, like a divine missile designed to detonate light in the deepest, darkest places of this world. You've always felt it, haven't you? That quiet restlessness in your bones, that deep sense that you didn't just arrive here, you landed on assignment. And here's a truth most people will never dare to say out loud. If your entire life has felt like a battleground, if you have known spiritual warfare since, before you even had words for it, it's because hell witnessed your arrival. The moment your spirit touched this soil, every dark force began plotting to eject you, to suffocate you before you could even speak. But look at you still here, still rising, still trembling but breathing, still daring to believe. Why? Because there is something inside you that was never authorized to die, something God Himself stored in you with heavenly secrecy. No weapon that is formed against you shall prosper. Isaiah 54:17. Remember that. God didn't lock your essence away in a distant vault. He didn't hide it inside a golden scroll stored in some temple far from your reach. He embedded it directly into your flesh, wrapped in your human story. It is a secret hidden in your skin, a mystery wearing amnesia, a seed sealed in unquenchable fire. You've been searching for outside validation when in truth, all you ever needed was activation, and that is precisely why God is saying it to you now. In this very moment, I have stored myself inside of you, Let that echo inside you. Can you feel it shifting something in your bones? Because the second you truly remember this, your deployment shifts from passive survival to conscious warfare, and a chosen one who operates consciously, fully aware of their divine encoding, becomes the greatest threat to every system, every illusion, every counterfeit structure built to enslave souls. Are you starting to see why your journey has felt so intense? Wake up, beloved. Wake up to the immense weight you carry. Wake up to the sacred code written in your marrow. Wake up to the reason why, despite every attack, your lungs keep drawing breath against all odds. You weren't simply born, you were deployed, and soon, the ground beneath your feet will tremble in revelation, discovering what heaven already declared, that the one they thought was fragile was actually carrying blueprints too holy to describe. Something inside you has started to creak open lately. You felt it, haven't you? Not with loud trumpets or public signs, but deep within, in that silent chamber no language has ever penetrated. It's that subtle tug, that quiet sense of a door unlocking behind your ribs. You can't fully describe it, but you know it's real. This is the divine door. God is now unsealing a chamber, so hidden it's been protected even from your own fears and traumas. This is the untouched part of you, the section of your spirit that has never been tainted by pain, never distorted by fear, never compromised by culture or crisis. This is the raw, original you, the blueprint before the bruises, the spark before the storms. And right now, God is not unlocking it with a physical key, but with a living word spoken straight into your soul. For the word of God is alive and active, sharper than any double-edged sword. Hebrews 4:13. Sometimes God's voice doesn't come knocking on the doors you recognize. Sometimes it whispers to the doors you forgot even existed. Isn't that why everything in your life has felt so strange lately? Why nothing seems to fit anymore? Why your body feels allergic to your old habits and your spirit revolts against shallow connections? It's because something ancient, something unbreakable, is waking up inside you. And with this awakening comes pressure, the type of pressure that makes you weep without knowing why, that pulls you into deep silence even when surrounded by noise, that compels you to walk away from conversations that once felt comfortable but now feel unbearably empty. You're not losing your mind, you're actually discovering your soul. Isn't it wild to think that the same tears you saw as weakness were actually baptism waters preparing you for this unveiling? This hidden chamber is not just a poetic metaphor, it is a real spiritual dimension within you. It's the storage vault of the unreleased you, the healer who has yet to lay hands on the wounded, the leader whose voice is still incubating in silence, the warrior who trembles in prayer, but whose very shadow already causes tremors in the dark. Think of figures like Rosa Parks, whose quiet strength in a single act ignited a civil rights movement, or Maya Angelou, whose words became medicine for generations, even after enduring unspeakable pain. Consider Malala Yousafzai, who held an unbreakable spirit in the face of violence and still rose to global influence, and even Stephen Hawking, whose body weakened but whose mind roared across galaxies, proving that the true chamber of power is internal. Greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. Ahad John Alba. So now, chosen one, will you dare to stop chasing external proof and start unlocking this divine chamber? Will you trust the whispers more than the noise? Because the most dangerous version of you isn't the one that tries to fit in, it's the one that fully remembers who you've always been. The ground is waiting, heaven is watching, and your soul is finally saying, yes, chosen one, What you're feeling in your body isn't just ordinary exhaustion. It's not mere burnout or fatigue that can be solved by a vacation or a few good nights of sleep. No, these are spiritual contractions, the trembling pangs of a prophetic birth that has been gestating inside you for years. Have you felt the random mood swings, the sudden visions that snatch you out of your daily routine, the trembling in your hands, or that fierce urge to vanish from everything you've worked so hard to build? These are not symptoms of weakness. They are evidence that the hidden chamber within you is not merely opening, it's leaking. The sacred oil spilling out of you right now is not new. It has been fermenting quietly in the caverns of your spirit, mixed with your tears, aged in the lonely silences of your deepest nights, purified again and again in the fires of disappointment and betrayal. God didn't forget about you. He wasn't stalling. He was waiting for this exact moment when the inner chamber would be mature enough to pour out its contents without contamination. And not only that, but we also glory in tribulations, knowing that tribulation produces perseverance, and perseverance, character, and character, I hope. Romans 5:3-4. The key that unlocked this chamber was never success or applause, it was pain. You tried different doors: effort, knowledge, community, distraction, but only heartbreak broke you open enough to allow this divine release. Only betrayal carved you out deeply enough to hold the sacred oil. That's why they had to turn on you. Why the job had to collapse. Why even your own family looked at you like a stranger. It was never about rejection, it was redirection. God needed to protect the chamber inside you from people who only loved your mask and not your essence. Think of Joseph, sold by his own brothers. The very betrayal that seemed to end him was the same force that propelled him to his true assignment. Or consider Tyler Perry, who faced abuse and homelessness before building an empire that now uplifts millions. Or Lady Gaga, ridiculed and doubted before she ever took the stage. Yet her authenticity shattered norms and healed hearts worldwide. Even J.K. Rowling, rejected countless times, carried a story within her that would shape a generation. Now, you find yourself standing at the edge of a transformation so raw that it doesn't feel like elevation. It feels like brutal exposure. You might feel terrified, like you're falling apart rather than rising up. But listen, chosen one, this is not the place where you lose yourself. This is where you finally meet the truest version of yourself. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Jeremiah 29:11. As the chamber inside you expands and the oil begins to flow out, you will feel more undone than you have ever felt before. And that's exactly how it should be. Let it happen. Because what is leaking from you now is what the world has been secretly starving for. You weren't created to guard your image or protect your reputation. You were formed to release your anointing. There are words you've been craving. Words your soul has hungered for your entire life. And they are not the shallow slogans or polished motivational speeches people toss around. They're not recycled Bible verses quoted without depth or awareness. No, these are the raw, holy sentences that only God can whisper into the marrow of your bones when you're too tired to keep pretending you're okay. And tonight, in this hidden chamber, God finally speaks them to you, not in the noise, but deep within the private sanctuary of your soul that just unlocked. You've carried wounds that had no vocabulary, aches that even your most desperate prayers tiptoed around. You labeled it grief, fatigue, punishment, anything that seemed logical. but none of those captured the truth. The deep, echoing silence you felt in your chest was actually a sacred, hollow space carved out by God Himself long before you ever walked this earth. A space set aside not for doctrine or religion, not for pleasing others, but for a revelation that would forever alter your spiritual DNA. And now, here it comes. God is whispering to you, I know what they never apologized for. I saw everything. I counted every sleepless night. I bottled every tear, and I never needed them to see you because my eyes were always on you. Pause here. Let these words shatter that invisible bruise you've been protecting. The Lord is close to the broken-hearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. Psalm 30 ve'arbe shmona esra. He knows the thing you buried so deeply, even you tried to forget it. He acknowledges the heartbreak that had no witness, honors the silent scream you locked inside for years. This is not just healing, this is holy validation, straight from the throne. You've waited your entire life for someone to say, that should not have happened to you. And tonight, the creator of galaxies, the architect of time, finally says it. Heaven itself has turned its gaze fully toward you and declared, I saw it all. I was never okay with it either, and I am here to restore what was stolen. Chosen one, what you are experiencing right now is not ordinary comfort or simple reassurance. This is holy justice. It isn't loud or violent, and it doesn't scream vengeance. Instead, it's deeply personal. A soft yet unstoppable current flowing straight from God's mouth to the deepest scar tissue of your soul. Declaring it worthy of restoration, you've held the silence like a second skin for so long. Haven't you? You wore the shame as though it were your true identity, as if it had always belonged to you. But today, in this sacred moment, God releases a sound into your spirit so powerful that it shatters every lie and dismantles every false weight you've carried. The shame, it was never yours. The silence, it wasn't abandonment, but a sacred pause. The pain, it was never a waste. It was all preparing you for this exact revelation. The sentence, he whispered so tenderly that your body trembled before your mind could even understand. I know what they never apologized for. And do you feel it? Chosen one, that subtle, electric shift inside your chest, that's what's truly different tonight. It isn't your outer circumstances, not your status or your title. It's your awakened awareness of God's intimate nearness to your wounds. You don't just believe in His existence anymore, you know He was right there. In that precise, excruciating moment, you thought you were forsaken. And now that He's spoken this truth aloud, your very cells cannot unhear it. This sentence wasn't simply spoken, it was etched into your spirit like divine ink that can't be washed away. You can't go back to acting unbothered or masking your pain, because now you hold an irreversible knowing. He saw it all. He never turned away. He never forgot, and in one breath, He said the words no one else on earth could ever say. Let the healing begin with that thunderous, quiet sentence echoing endlessly within you. I know what they never apologized for, but I'm here now, and I'm making all things new, starting with you. Behold, I am making all things new. Revelation 20:5. Imagine that your very cells are being rewired by this divine acknowledgement. The ground under your feet is shifting because heaven finally called out your hidden pain by name. There's a weight you've been carrying, and you mistook it for depression, confusion, or even weakness. You've wondered, why am I so heavy? Why does life feel like an endless uphill battle? But it was never weakness, it was a mantle. A mantle so sacred and rare that you didn't even know it had a name. The fatigue wasn't failure. The spiritual pressure wasn't punishment. The tears weren't signs of collapse. They were symptoms of carrying something directly from the throne room. You've been walking around wearing the unseen garment of assignment, the invisible cloak of divine authority, a mantle that carries God's hidden instructions for your life. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. And before you were born, I consecrated you. Jeremiah 1:1. You didn't choose this mantle. You didn't put it on like a costume. You were born wrapped in it. That's why nothing ever truly fit. That's why every room felt too small for your soul, and every conversation felt too shallow for your depth. You tried so hard to shrink yourself, to make others comfortable, to make yourself seem normal. You dulled your brilliance just to become digestible to those who couldn't handle your light. But here's the hard truth. The mantle doesn't shrink. It doesn't wait for applause or seek validation. It doesn't bend to fit the fragile egos around you. Think about Moses, who tried to run from his assignment because he felt inadequate and misunderstood. Or Esther, who hid her true identity until the very moment she was called to risk everything to save her people. Or even Elon Musk, who often spoke of feeling fundamentally different from others and carried visions too big for the world to understand at first. Or Maya Angelou, whose words carried the invisible weight of collective trauma and healing. These individuals did not shrink. They eventually rose into the fullness of their mantle, and the world was forever changed because of it. For the gifts and the calling of God are irrevocable. Romans 11:29. The mantle on your life is not up for negotiation. It does not shrink or wait for your approval to start working. It refuses to explain itself to those who cannot feel its holy weight. You, chosen one, have been carrying something heaven sealed, and you are only just beginning to understand its magnitude. So, will you continue to make yourself small for the comfort of those who can't comprehend your fire? Or will you rise, trembling but unstoppable, finally allowing your mantle to unfold in full force? Chosen one, do you realize that what you thought were heavy chains holding you back were never chains at all? You've been dragging this immense weight behind you, calling it punishment, calling it bondage, when in truth, it was a crown turned upside down, waiting for you to lift it and place it where it belongs. You were never being punished, you were being positioned. It might not have felt like promotion, because mantles don't arrive wrapped in applause, they arrive wrapped in mystery. They don't feel like celebrations, they feel like crushing pressure. They don't bring cheers and public affirmations, they summon a silence so deep it echoes through your bones. And yet, you kept going. You kept praying when your arms felt too heavy to lift. You stayed faithful when no one clapped for you, when no one even noticed your hidden sacrifices. Why did you keep moving forward when everything inside screamed for you to give up? Because somewhere deep inside, your spirit already carried a knowing, a quiet, ancient knowing that your mind is only now catching up to. You knew this pain wasn't a void, it was a forge. Every rejection didn't strip you, it added a new layer to your covering. Every heartbreak didn't destroy you, it carved strength and resilience into your spine. Every night you sat alone in silence, feeling invisible, embroidered threads of wisdom and authority into your soul. But he knows the way that I take. When he has tested me, I will come forth as gold. Job 23:10. You don't need to chase anointing like it's some elusive mist floating just beyond your grasp. You're wearing it. That's why hell has been relentless in trying to undress you, to make you question your worth, to seduce you into stripping off your authority just to fit into rooms too small for your spirit. But listen closely. What is on you did not come from human hands. so no human can take it away. You are not a victim of circumstance. You are a chosen carrier of sacred responsibility. You are a vessel God trusted enough to pass through the furnace, not to destroy you, but to brand you with his mark. You are marked, chosen one, and that mark is not a tattoo on your skin. It is in your stride, in your tone, in that piercing gaze that slices through deception without even trying. Look at David, ignored in the fields. Yet he carried an unseen oil that even his family couldn't deny when the time came. Or Harriet Tubman, who, though hunted and threatened, carried a mantle so potent that no chains could hold her purpose. Or Nelson Mandela, imprisoned for decades, yet emerged carrying a moral authority that changed a nation. Or Beyoncé, who, beneath the lights and fame, speaks of a call so heavy that it shapes her every move. These were not people who chose the mantle chose them. And they learned to stop dragging it behind and started wearing it boldly. And now, you no longer have to guess or wonder about the weight you feel, because God has spoken it clearly and eternally. I have stored myself inside of you. And that includes your mantle. For you did not receive a spirit of slavery to fall back into fear, but you have received the spirit of adoption. Romans 8:15. You're not dragging dead weight. You are carrying living oil, holy, active, transformative. The pressure you feel isn't a sign you're failing. It's a divine signal to yield. Stop fighting the weight as if it's an enemy. Stop begging God to remove what was meant to strengthen you. Instead, ask for the grace to stand under it, to stand within it, to let it shape you into the unstoppable force you were always meant to be. Chosen one. You are not disintegrating, you are being cloaked. The moment you stop dragging the mantle like a burden and instead crown yourself with it, everything that was designed to recognize your authority will begin to align and respond. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you. Isaiah 60:1. Your weight carry purpose. Your pressure is not random, it has a holy name. Your tears weren't wasted, they were threads weaving the very garment the earth has been waiting for you to finally wear. Chosen one. You've spent years wondering why loneliness wrapped itself around you like a second skin. Even when you stood in a crowded room, you felt like a ghost, an echo searching for its origin. Even surrounded by friends, you felt like you were speaking an alien dialect no one else could translate. You begged God to send you people, to bring community, to place you among those who would finally understand your depth. But what if I told you that God heard every single one of those cries and still chose to say no, not because he didn't care about your ache, but because what you carry is too sacred to be casually touched. You weren't being punished, you were being preserved. Do you see it now? Some mantles can't be handled in public. Some callings are so pure, so radioactive in their spiritual frequency, that too much exposure would mutate their very nature. So God hid you on purpose. He set your spirit to do not disturb. Every failed friendship, every romantic collapse, every circle you tried to squeeze into only to be spit out that wasn't failure. It was a firewall. God was constructing a sanctuary of silence around you, so the familiar voices wouldn't drown out your destiny. You are my hiding place. You will protect me from trouble and surround me with songs of deliverance. Psalm 32, Sheba. You don't just carry a mission, you embody reformation. And true reformation cannot be mass-produced in crowded rooms. It is forged alone. Think of Moses. He wasn't shaped in Pharaoh's palace, but broken in the quiet desolation of the desert. Elijah didn't receive affirmation through applause, but through the still, small voice echoing in the darkness of a cave. You too have been hidden so long, you forgot what normal light feels like on your face. But guess what? That's the perfect soil, where God's glory grows best, in the cave. In the silence that makes your spirit itch because your soul is stretching beyond your old form. And just when the silence felt too unbearable, you stumbled upon this message, this moment. Why? Because heaven finally declared, they're ready. You weren't ready before. You were too eager to belong, too quick to compromise your frequency to avoid the pang of isolation. But now, after feeling the sting of counterfeit love, after tasting enough hollow words to discern true confirmation from cheap compliments, now you finally see God wasn't keeping people from you. He was protecting your oil from contamination. Do not give dogs what is holy, and do not throw your pearls before pigs. Matthew Sheba, Shesh. Your assignment was never to blend in, but to walk in power. Power isn't forged in crowds, it is born in caves. That's why your phone went silent. That's why invitations dried up. That's why doors slammed shut. You weren't forgotten, you were protected. You were hidden until your anointing was mature enough not to be diluted by the room. This message you hear now, it's not just information, it's a trumpet blast. It calls you out of hiding, not because the world is finally ready, but because your spirit is. You've been alone long enough to become dangerous, not to people, but to strongholds that profit from your silence, to systems that crumble when you step into your fullness, to illusions that shatter when you refuse to shrink. So don't resent the solitude. Honor it. It was in those long, echoing nights that God stored himself deeper within you. And now, as the cave doors creak open, you realize you no longer crave connection. You embody communion. You don't need to be seen anymore, because now you can see. The loneliness wasn't rejection, it was divine luxury. An exclusive protection plan for someone carrying something so sacred, the world wasn't ready to behold it. You've wept over delays. You've pleaded with God, thinking you missed your moment. You questioned yourself endlessly, believing you were the problem. But listen closely. You were not denied. You were delayed deliberately. You weren't ignored. You were timed. Heaven didn't hold you back because you lacked worth, but because you were too priceless to be rushed. You think you were ready last year, but God saw the snare waiting. You believed you could handle it, but he saw the betrayal on the other side of that open door. Every pause was mercy. Every not yet was heaven's strategy. Every silence was God shielding your purpose from premature exposure. You weren't late. You were sealed like wine in a cellar, like scrolls in the temple, like sacred weapons behind locked doors. Isaiah 49:2. He made my mouth like a sharpened sword. In the shadow of his hand, he hid me. That's why doors didn't open, not because you weren't prepared, but because the stage was not clean enough. Had you stepped out too soon, you would have diluted your anointing just to survive. But now the delay has done its holy work. Your discernment is sharp as a blade. Your silence has deepened into a fortress. Your hunger for applause has died, replaced by a holy hunger for God's heart alone. Tonight, he speaks, not to the version of you who was begging for breakthroughs and approval, but to the warrior who is now ready to carry the fullness without compromise. And in his sentence tonight, timing is woven into every syllable. I delayed you to preserve the version of you I actually called, not the one you were performing as. Let that settle in your bones. God didn't just delay your promise, He delayed the counterfeit version of you that would have sabotaged it. You prayed for open doors. But God loved you too deeply to let the approval-hungry, people-pleasing, watered-down version of you step into them, so He held the door with one hand and shielded you with the other. And now, the trembling you feel, it isn't anxiety, it's clearance. You're about to walk into the very thing that made hell tremble the moment you were born, because now your oil is thick with perseverance. Your yes is pure. Your boundaries are forged from holy fire. And that delay, it has expired. You feel it, don't you? The air has shifted. Your prayers now cut through dimensions. Your silence now echoes like a prophecy. That's how you know. The waiting room has transformed into a delivery room, for the vision is yet for an appointed time, though it tarry. Wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. Habakkuk 2:3. Tonight, God whispers it with finality. No more delay. You did not miss it. It was waiting on this authentic, fully awakened version of you. Let the bitterness dissolve. Let the regret die. The delay was never punishment. It was protection for your promise. And now, chosen one, as heaven aligns with your newly awakened spirit, know this: you will not miss what is yours. Not now. Not this version. Not after the divine timing has finally called your name. Your delay ends tonight. Lately, chosen one, you've begun to notice something almost unsettling. You open your mouth to speak, and suddenly the air in the room changes. You share your thoughts, your visions, your deep soul tremors, and they look at you like you're speaking a foreign dialect, confused, startled, sometimes even offended. You try to describe what you feel rumbling inside, the sacred currents that pulse through your veins. And before you even finish, you find yourself standing on the outskirts, the misunderstood one yet again. Have you ever asked yourself why? Let me reveal it to you. They can't hear what wasn't meant for them. And this is not a sign of arrogance. It is the undeniable reality of divine frequency. You are speaking from a spiritual altitude they were never trained to survive in. You are exhaling words filled with oxygen from dimensions they've never even glimpsed. It's like trying to explain a sunrise to someone who's only ever lived underground. You're not wrong. You're just rare. And that is precisely why they misunderstand you. You're communicating in codes written by heaven, keys that only angels and kindred spirits can recognize. You are moving in a silence that roars to heaven, but sounds like static to those still tethered to the ground. You're carrying burdens so rare. No one around you has the vocabulary to mirror them back to you. It's not that they don't love you, it's that they're not tuned to your wavelength. And here lies the danger that so many chosen ones fall into. If you lower your frequency just to be understood, you will suffocate the assignment God has entrusted you with. You will trade sacred vibration for shallow validation. You were not designed to be universally received. You were sculpted to be divinely preserved. The natural person does not accept the things of the Spirit of God, for they are folly to him, and he is not able to understand them. 1 Corinthians 2:14. Jesus spoke in parables not to confuse the masses, but to protect divine mysteries from hearts that would weaponize them before they were ready. In the same way, you're carrying sacred mysteries, revelations that crack open strongholds, visions that shift atmospheres, spiritual keys that unlock ancient doors. But if you start offering these to people who only see you as entertainment, they will dissect your spirit like a science project rather than honor you as a living portal. Chosen one, your silence is not emptiness, it is sacred. The way they roll their eyes when you speak, that's your confirmation. The awkward silences after your revelations, that's your affirmation. The drained exhaustion you feel after trying to make your depths digestible, that's divine redirection. Stop pouring oil into vessels that were never assigned to carry it. Do not cast your pearls before swine, lest they trample them under their feet, and turn and tear you in pieces. Matthew Shabbat. You are not weird. You are wired differently. You were never asked to dilute your calling for the comfort of others when God breathed into you, encoding you with this specific vibration of awakening. He didn't install a volume knob to adjust to fragile egos. He sent you as thunder wrapped in human skin, as lightning stitched into bone. And thunder does not apologize when it splits the sky. It simply announces its arrival. Stop apologizing for the heaviness of your presence. Stop shrinking because your silence shakes foundations. Stop minimizing the way your very existence disrupts the atmosphere. That shaking, that discomfort, that tension, it's the living proof that you are finally aligned with the sound God buried inside you. And when your frequency finally matches your divine coding, everything that wasn't designed to hold it will fall away. People, partnerships, even environment. It's not rejection, it's sacred refinement. If they can't hear you now, they were never meant to run with you into the next dimension. This isn't about superiority, it's about spiritual resonance. You're not better, you're simply built for higher altitudes. And now that you've heard the sentence, now that you know God Himself has stored His essence within you, you can no longer afford to shrink. You cannot bend your fire to fit someone else's comfort zone. Your sound is rare. Chosen one. Your spirit is encrypted with codes written before you had a name. Your assignment is divinely protected. My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. John Asel, Aserim Vesheba. They can't hear what wasn't meant for them, and that is not your burden to fix it, is your cue to guard. But don't fear, because those who are tuned to your sacred frequency, they will find you. They always do. When the trumpet sounds, those with ears to hear rise from the ashes and respond with a knowing only heaven can orchestrate. So stand tall. Chosen one, let your frequency roar. You are not here to be understood. You are here to be undeniable. Chosen one, you've spent so much of your life in a perpetual state of waiting for the confirmation that would make you feel safe, waiting for someone to finally call your name out loud, waiting for the doors to swing open, the stages to appear, the prophecies to come true. You thought the fulfillment was always somewhere ahead, somewhere outside yourself, somewhere in a distant someday. But here's the revelation no one ever told you. You are not the one waiting for the prophecy. You are the prophecy. You are not the echo of some ancient sound. You are the original frequency. The first sound wave that heaven whispered into the dark before your bones were even woven together. Long before your family fell apart. Before you ever had words to describe your pain, heaven had already spoken your existence as a divine declaration. While you were still limping through your childhood wounds, trying to stitch yourself back together in private, God was already writing you as a living scroll. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. Jeremiah 1:5. Chosen one. You were never meant to merely believe in miracles from afar. You were designed to become the walking, breathing evidence that miracles exist. That's why you've always felt a little too strange, too intense, too much for the spaces around you. Because prophecy doesn't glide through life unnoticed. It stumbles. It weeps in silence. It gets mocked. It feels misunderstood and underestimated, until the moment God reveals it. And suddenly, every misunderstood chapter starts making sense. You thought you were imagining things, that your dreams were too grand, too ethereal, too out there for someone like you. But now you're beginning to understand. You weren't dreaming, you were remembering. You weren't hallucinating, you were previewing. Those wild visions were snapshots, encrypted glimpses from the scroll sealed deep inside your spirit, a divine trailer of a story you're only just now stepping into. The reason you feel so restless lately, the unexplained aches, the spiritual itch under your skin, the waves of emotion that feel too big for your body. It's all because the prophetic word that you are is finally being read aloud in heaven and echoed into the earth. You were a hidden sentence in a holy paragraph. And now that paragraph is being declared. The word is becoming flesh. You are becoming you. You are what heaven meant when it said, "In due time, Achat Peter Chamesh, Shesh, humble yourselves, that he may exalt you in due time." You are the living evidence that your ancestors' prayers didn't bounce off the ceiling and die in vain. You are proof that the curses, the traumas, the bloodline fractures were not the final chapter. Look at you, still standing, still rising, still burning with an unquenchable fire that no one else can smother. You don't need a pulpit to validate you. You are the pulpit. You are a living altar, a temple on two legs, a mobile sanctuary carrying frequencies sharp enough to break generational chains, heal secret wounds, and dissolve illusions. You were never meant to spend your life begging for answers, because you are the answer that put on skin, and that's why hell hated you before you could even say your own name. You were a cosmic disruption long before you chose your first steps. And now, chosen one, the veil is finally lifting. You're seeing yourself for the first time, truly seeing. Beyond the masks and narratives and mislabels, there is no return to your old shell. You cannot retreat into smallness. You cannot hide behind spiritual amnesia anymore. You are the prophecy in full motion, the vision finally taking shape, the once whispered prayer now walking around as divine evidence. You are not here to spectate. You are the fulfillment. So stand taller than you ever have. Walk as if the ground itself has been waiting for your footsteps, because it has. Speak with the cadence of someone whose lungs carry the breath of ancient promises. You are done waiting. You have arrived. The moment you accept this truth, everything in your environment, every relationship, every room, every opportunity will be forced to recognize the divine awakening happening inside you. You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. Matthew, Hamash, Arba, Asara. You are the living prophecy. And tonight, the world caught its first glimpse of what heaven has been hiding in you for decades. You're not stepping into someone else's shadow. You're not mimicking paths already paved. You are stepping into a realm that does not yet exist. There is no map, no predecessor who has carried exactly what you carry. You were not sent to follow, you were sent to forerun, to blaze a trail where no footprints have ever dared to mark. Chosen one, listen to this as if your entire future depends on it, because it does. The reason so much of your life has felt like confusion, exile, or divine disorientation is because you are the first of your kind. You are not an echo. You are an original vibration. You are not replicating someone else's path. You are carving a road through spiritual wilderness that no one in your bloodline even knew existed. You're saying yes to an assignment that your ancestors did not have the vocabulary to pray for. You are moving into territories that haven't been touched by human feet, let alone understood by human minds. You are not a copy. You are a key. And where you are going, Only a key can enter, no imitation. No safe replica. No pre-approved formula. That's why your life has felt like exile from the very start. That's why mentors couldn't guide you. Why their instructions felt hollow. Why every proven formula failed spectacularly in your hands. It's not because you are flawed, it's because none of it was built for what is inside of you. You carry a frequency and a code that no one else around you had the capacity to interpret. Behold, I will do a new thing. Now it shall spring forth. Shall ye not know it? Isaiah 43:19. And now, God is calling you to step forward into the unknown, not as a guest, but as an owner, to walk into realms that look empty and declare them as yours, to speak to spaces that seem barren and watch them bloom under your breath. You are called to move into the void as though it already knows your name, because, in the Spirit, it does. The future is not waiting for a version of you that plays it safe, who bows to public opinion or shrinks to fit in. It's waiting for the version of you who finally trusts the divine fire roaring in your belly more than the anxious whispers in your mind. It's waiting for the sound of your feet on territory unclaimed by mediocrity. It's waiting for the echo of your voice in atmospheres that have never before been confronted. It's waiting for your hands to sculpt realities that history has only ever fantasized about. You are not late. You are right on time for a future that could not even start until you believed, until you surrendered your smallness, until you remembered the sentence he whispered when no one was watching, "I have stored myself inside of you." He didn't hide himself in your resume, your titles, your bank account, or your image curated for approval. He embedded himself in your obedience, in your radical yes, in the tremble of your spirit when you say, "I'll go," even when you can't see a single step ahead. This is not about finding your purpose anymore. This is about becoming the foundation for purposes that don't exist yet. You are not just a pioneer, you are the ground itself. The bridge others will someday walk across. The living evidence that something can come from nothing when someone dares to believe. You are the portal through which new realities are born. You are the genesis of something unstoppable and unseen. Look at Noah, who built an ark when there was no sign of rain, no proof, only a word. Or look at Rosa Parks, who sat down so a movement could stand up. Despite no guarantees. Or Steve Jobs, who envisioned worlds inside tiny screens when everyone else thought it was impossible. Or Harriet Tubman, who walked back into darkness over and over to lead others out into light. These were not people following maps. They became the maps. And if your bones are shaking, if your eyes are overflowing with tears, if your body feels stretched like skin on a new drum, then rejoice, because this is what birthing the unseen feels like. For the creation waits with eager longing for the revealing of the sons of God. Romans 8:19. Your trembling is not weakness, it's the vibration of something holy coming alive inside you. The question before you now is crystal clear. Will you dare to walk into the void of what does not exist yet, trusting that it will manifest simply because you carry the authority to speak it into form? You are not stepping onto an already built stage. You are becoming the stage. You are not joining a movement. You are the movement. You are not adding your voice to a chorus. You are the first note of a new symphony. So stand there in your trembling, in your tears, in your holy discomfort, and know this: you are birthing what no one has seen, what no one has dared to imagine, what only heaven has whispered. And the world is about to witness a revelation that doesn't come with a blueprint. Because you are the blueprint. This is your moment. Chosen one, step forward. The ground is waiting to be written under your feet. Beloved chosen one, as we stand at the edge of this sacred revelation together, remember this: you are not wandering into the unknown because you are lost. You are stepping into it because the known world was never designed to hold the magnitude of what you carry. You are not simply called to endure or barely make it through this chapter. You are being divinely summoned to author the next one. Every trembling step you take into this uncharted territory is a new sentence God is inscribing in a living book whose title could only ever be You. Take a slow, deep breath now. Let your chest rise with gratitude and fall with gentle surrender. You have survived the unthinkable, the silences that almost choked you, the warfare that left you sleepless, the aches that no language could soothe, the endless waiting that tried to drain your hope. But now, in this holy moment, something eternal in you has gone still. A deep, ancient calm is settling into your bones because your spirit has finally heard the sentence it's been waiting to hear since before you had a name. I have stored myself inside of you. Allow that sacred echo to slow your racing heart. Let it nestle into the quiet corners of your being like golden oil healing long-neglected wounds. You are not crazy. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are, in fact, early for a dimension of life and purpose that the earth has not yet seen. Because of this, your steps are not random, they are sacred. Your timing is not flawed, it is orchestrated by divine intelligence. Your softness is not a flaw, it is ancient wisdom clothed in light. You don't have to prove yourself anymore. You don't have to exhaust yourself trying to be understood. You don't have to shrink or translate the language of your soul into bite-sized pieces for those who are not ready to wake up. You, beloved, are enough. And not just enough, you are chosen. You did not choose me, but I chose you and appointed you. John Hamesha Sera Shesha Sera. So tonight, I invite you to rest, not as a warrior who has collapsed from battle, but as a divine heir cradled in the arms of prophecy. Lay your head down, knowing the fight was never simply about survival, it was always about awakening. And now that you are fully awake, the atmosphere around you, the timelines ahead of you, and the hearts meant to encounter you will never be the same. Sweet dreams, chosen one. May your sleep be a sanctuary where angels minister to your spirit and heaven continues whispering secrets into your marrow. You were the message hidden in plain sight. You were the miracle camouflaged as ordinary, and you were always worth the wait. To God, to heaven, and to this moment in time, thank you for journeying through this sacred message with me tonight. Your presence here is not taken lightly, it is deeply honored. If this word spoke life into your spirit and you feel led to support this mission, you can donate through Super Thanks. But please know this, whether you choose to give or not, your value and your impact here are profoundly appreciated, and I am endlessly grateful for you. May blessings reign over you like fresh morning dew. May your days ahead be marked with divine clarity, unstoppable courage, and an overflow of quiet miracles. I love you deeply, chosen one. Rest well, because tomorrow the world will meet a version of you that even the stars have been waiting to see.